got 9 car rate to attend here today.
If it's not paid, we're going to be removing the stock.
Their job is to get you your money back.
It's about to get physical.
It's an arrestable offence to stop me doing my job.
If you've been ripped off and don't know where to turn,
we need to deal with it now.
We're going to remove vehicles to that value.
If you're acting on his authority, pay it.
if you've been to court and still not been paid what you're owed,
Are you going to open this building cell or am I going to force entry into it? You need to pay this.
it's time to call the sheriffs.
Put your hands on me. I'm going to call the locksmith. Effect entry into the premises and remove all the items. Whoa.
They're enforcement agents of the High Court, and the law says they're on your side.
That's collected 42 grand.
Coming up, when this couple bought themselves a car, things didn't go to plan.
When we were driving faster, it just didn't seem to accelerate. At that point, I was pretty cross.
Craig and Tommy go in search of what they're owed.
Is that not you, Waterside Car Sale?
Of course I am.
So you are Waterside Car Sale?
What I'm saying is we took this name over.
You're digging yourself a bit of a hole now.
No. I'm not digging myself any hole.
Lawrence and Kev are in a chocolate shop, and they won't leave empty-handed.
You can have 15 minutes, but then we're going to clear the place out.
And the sheriffs take on Barclaycard for a large sum.
Is £35,000 plus.
The law's the law, and it applies to everybody.
Today, Sheriffs Tommy Coyle and Craig Wilde have a familiar problem to deal with.
Right, we're off to Birmingham today. Off to see a garage, Waterside Car Sales. The claimant in this particular case is a Katie Miller. She's owed a total of £2,916.
The sheriffs are looking to get Katie her money back after a car sale went wrong. Katie and Andrew Miller travelled 50 miles from their home to Birmingham to buy a car that Andrew needed to get to work.
So I work as an outdoor instructor. I love doing it. I get to work with young people every day. I get to take them on school trips, kayaking and climbing and caving and things like that. A car's essential because I've got to get there, but it also involves taking things like kayaks around on the roof and going all around the country.
Andrew needed to find a car, but there wasn't much money. The couple had recently married and were hoping to have something left in the bank after buying their wheels.
Our budget was £2,000. We picked a few cars. We had to look quite far afield because the criteria were quite tight. And we found a few in Birmingham, and Waterside was one of the places that we went to.
They came across a VW Golf they both liked. Mohammed Hack at Waterside Car Sales let them have the Golf for a price that was within their budget.
He let us take it for a test drive. It was Derby match day in Birmingham, so it was quite busy. So we went for a really short test drive. It wasn't quite running right. It was a bit judgery. Sort of obviously raised the concern, and he said, no problem, we'll sort it out. Get my garage to look at it. Waited for half an hour. They brought the car back, switched it on, drove it a little bit, and absolutely fine, no problems at all. They believed that it was all sorted and it was just a simple problem.
The couple drove away from Waterside Car Sales happy. They didn't realise that they weren't going to stay that way for long.
The overall driving experience was quite good up until we turned the engine off and started it back up the next time. From there on, it went downhill. It was very juddery at a slow speed. And then when we were driving faster, it just didn't seem to accelerate. At that point, I was pretty cross and wanted to go about getting the car back.
We've driven 50 miles again.
Naturally, they contacted Mohammed Hack at the garage and asked to bring the car back for a refund. But the garage only wanted to try and fix it again.
He's already tried to fix it once and didn't. We just want to bring the car back to you.
That's the stage when he started saying you have no right to bring this car back. What do you expect when you buy a second-hand car?
It's not fit for purpose.
We knew that actually if you buy something faulty from someone, you have rights to take it back.
The couple wisely got in touch with Trading Standards to find out what they could do about their badly running car.
we had to have shown willingness for him to fix the car. So under the guidance of trading standards, we asked him to come and collect the car, which he was very reluctant to do initially. He tried to tell me that it was my responsibility to pay for transport of the car.
I believe that we have the right to...
I said that actually, legally, I shouldn't have to incur any costs from this faulty car that he'd sold us. We ended up finally getting him to agree to collect the car, and he had the car for, I think, a couple of months.
When the car was finally ready, the couple travelled over to Birmingham and collected it. After 2 months waiting, they hoped their troubles were over.
Got there, started it up, drove it home again, and exactly the same problem happened.
After 3 breakdowns, the couple got on the phone and demanded their money back. Waterside Car Sales weren't forthcoming.
He answered the phone and just made excuses, didn't want to talk to me, and just made excuses for leaving the phone conversation and left.
A local garage told them it would cost hundreds of pounds to investigate the problem, let alone fix it. The couple decided to go to court to get their money back. No one from Waterside Car Sales attended the hearing, so Katie and Andrew won a default judgment. But 2 months on, the couple haven't been paid.
The sheriffs are the last hope, they're the last option we have.
Over in Birmingham, Sheriffs Craig and Tommy are planning to get them the money a court says they're owed. They've found what appears to be Waterside Car Sales.
Hello, mate. You're the boss.
The man on site isn't the owner, but he does get him on the phone for Craig.
What it's to do with, got a court order today for £2,910.71.
He doesn't seem to know about Katie's case.
She's taken the company to court for the money. And the company, Waterside Car Sales.
The man says his name is Mohammed Hack, but that he runs a different company, and Waterside Car Sales have moved out.
And when did they go?
Craig thinks he sees evidence to the contrary.
Well, obviously, it's all still signed up here, Waterside Car Sales.
Mr. Hack says he'll come down to the garage.
He said we were waiting inside, and then...
The sheriffs look inside for evidence of Waterside Car Sales, and it doesn't take Craig long to find something.
If you carefully look at the very top, it's got Waterside Car Sales on the top there. So that's what we're looking at. Any more? For any more?
There's a small office in the garage, and Craig has a look around and finds further clues.
The trade plates in there are Waterside Car Sales. Even though it's all Waterside on the front, this Mr. Hack reckons he's a director of a limited company that's taken over this building about 2 months ago, he said. I don't believe him, to be fair. I think he's got something to do with their company.
Moments later, Mr. Hack arrives.
Hello, sir.
Perhaps he can explain which company this is.
Thank you. Yeah, what we're saying is the judgment is for £2,910.71. So, how do you want to pay it, or...?
Mr. Hack believes he has proof that a different company now operates here.
This is you here?
Yeah.
So do you know anything about Waterside at all?
Waterside used to be here. We're
Right.
still using their sign, but we are them.
Right, okay.
But Mr. Hack isn't convincing Craig and Tommy.
Why are you still using their signage and their cards?
Because we can't afford to put any new signage at the moment.
You're saying that you have nothing to do with Waterside whatsoever?
No.
Right.
This is us. You can see.
No, I appreciate that, yeah. When you arrived here
Yeah.
as M&J Midlands Limited,
Yeah.
the place was empty, Waterside had gone and everything else?
Everyone was gone.
Why are we still using their trade plates?
Sorry?
Why are we still using their trade plates?
We took it over. Till this expire, we...
Well, why didn't Waterside, when they left,
Yeah.
take these with them?
They left it there. What am I supposed to do?
Well, you shouldn't be using them, should you?
I shouldn't be using them, no.
No. When I said to you, when you moved into here, and it was all empty, that wasn't true then, because they've obviously left these, haven't they?
The sheriffs decide to confront Mr. Hack with more of their findings. They hope he'll realise that he must pay the bill.
Did they leave any cars?
No.
They didn't leave any cars?
They don't leave any cars, do they? When we moved in here, there's no cars.
Right.
So far, it's not looking good for the sheriffs. Although Craig's found evidence he thinks disproves Mr. Hack's story about a new company. He's no closer to convincing him to pay up. Later on, the sheriffs make a discovery that changes everything.
There you go. Waterside Cars Limited.
Kev McNally and Lawrence Grix are out on patrol today, looking to recover a debt. Enforcement agent Kev has got his thinking cap on.
We are in Cambridge at the moment. We're going to Chocolate. Presume it's a chocolate shop. They owe £1,793.
Kev suspects Lawrence would take payment in kind.
Maybe Lawrence likes a bit of chocolate. He's nodding his head there. Chocolate and gin and tonic, I think.
But the sheriffs won't be getting any chocolate until they find out where they're going.
I've no idea. I've gone the wrong way.
But every way they go is wrong.
Except authorised vehicles, raising bollards, CCTV in use. Well, nearly a mile from it, so I'm not walking for a mile.
The sheriffs have got a major battle on their hands this morning, getting through Cambridge's traffic control system.
I'm going back round this way again because I think it's somewhere. Oh no, buses only.
Where the hell are we? This place is a serious joke. Anyone watching, don't come to Cambridge. You just won't get anywhere.
You driver like me, I'd wake you up every. No, that's pedestrian zone. So we'll go back round here then.
Yeah.
Look, no entry.
This place is a joke. Still half a mile away.
Finally, a breakthrough.
Right. I am a legend. Keep going. No, seriously, we'll be there in a minute. Unless that's the river. We're definitely going to get there now because it's one way all the way to it. Literally the best co-pilot ever. Don't worry about me.
They've found the chocolate shop, but not the parking space they'll need for the van. They'll have to park somewhere if they want to collect this debt.
It's literally about an hour walk from here.
But it seems the distance is no object to a sheriff with a chocolate shop to find.
Lawrence just wants to get stuck into the chocolate. Look at him, he's rampaging his way towards there.
Just want to get there, only put an hour on the parking meter. It's a half-hour walk from the van, isn't it?
Got visions of turning up at the shop and he's already eaten half the stock. He's just got the chocolate covering his face and wrappers everywhere.
Eventually, the sheriffs arrive at the chocolate shop. But Master of Directions Kev has missed the sweet spot.
Where's he going?
No one told me it was there. You know, surprised? It's still here then.
Hello there. It's either you the owner or all. No, it's Mr. Ricks, my colleague and I are enforcement agents. We've got a High Court writ to execute against Chocolat. We're here today to take control of goods to the value of £1,793.50p, which would basically mean everything in here.
The young store manager is worried. She clearly knew nothing about this.
Are you able to get the owner on the phone? Are you in contact? Is she?
Get him on the phone?
I can try.
Yeah, I think that's probably best.
The manager doesn't want her chocolate shop emptied of stock, and she's been dropped in at the deep end.
All right. All right. No worries.
The seriousness of the situation is starting to dawn on the staff, and they shut the shop. Eventually, they do make contact with the absent shop owner's daughter and put Lawrence on. She asks for more time to pay.
You can have 15 minutes, but then we're going to roll the truck to come and clear the place out. Because we've been here half an hour already. Okay. All right, bye-bye.
With nearly £2,000 to pay, the sheriffs would have to take a lot of chocolate. So Kev is looking for other options.
There's a few bits of furniture around here for a start. There's lots of ceramic gift stuff. Downstairs is the same. Lots of chocolate, computers down there, printers, a few appliances around, a couple of fridges, some sort of chocolate mixing equipment.
But the sheriffs would prefer money.
The elder daughter, who I've just spoken to, says she's the owner of the business, but she's got no access to any funds, which I find a bit hard to swallow, unlike chocolate. So we're just waiting now. I've given them 15 minutes to try and get in touch with her parents. If she's the owner, she should be able to deal with it, is my opinion.
It clearly wasn't the ideal day to look for payment. Despite the ongoing negotiations, Kev thinks Lawrence is holding back.
Don't really like chocolate. It's way too sweet in here for me. A bit concerned. Got the devil in him over there. Struggling to contain himself.
But before Lawrence can indulge himself, the owner phones through with good news.
It's been paid by card. Right, I'll get onto my office now and check, because if it's done by card, it's instantaneous, and I'll issue a receipt and leave it with one of the ladies here. All right, thanks. Bye.
But just to make sure no one fudged the payment, Lawrence is checking that the money has been received at the office.
All right, lovely. Yep, cheers. Bye. Yeah, it's there.
Can't ask more than that. Paid. On our way.
It's been a difficult morning for the young manager, but she wouldn't have a shop to manage if the sheriffs had to take control of the chocolate.
Thanks a lot. See you later, guys.
Cheers.
Successful job in the end. Went in there, no dramas. Once she established what it was, paid on a bank transfer. So, yeah, full payment. I mean, it wasn't a huge sum of money. I think it's a really busy shop there. You could tell by the amount of people when we got in there, and then the amount of people while they were shut while we were there. Just want to get the shop open and running again. But they paid full amount, £1,800 just about. On we go. They're open for trading again. All things good.
All they have to do now is find their way out of the Cambridge traffic system. The shop told us the sheriffs called when the owners were out of the country at a funeral. The owners believed the debt had already been paid and so applied to the court to reclaim any overpayment. Back in Birmingham, Craig and Tommy are at Waterside Car Sales on behalf of Katie and Andrew Miller. They found a man who says he has nothing to do with the debtor company.
When we moved in here, there's no cars.
Right.
But they don't believe him.
Just to put the final nail in the coffin, Mr. Hack, there's 3 cars, at least 3 cars, right, which still have the sale particulars in the windscreen for Waterside. So in your infinite wisdom, what you did, you found some trade plates, and you found some paperwork, which was Waterside, and you put that bit of paperwork in your cars to sell it under the terms of Waterside. Is that what you're saying to me? You're digging yourself a bit of a hole now.
No. I'm not digging myself any hole.
Do you want me to show you? Come on.
Of course, I'm not saying.
I'll show you. Your telephone number.
Of course, this is mine.
Is on Waterside.
This is what I'm using for the moment.
So why are you using this? You said Waterside had left 2 months ago. And why would this document be in a car for sale under the banner of Waterside now if they moved out 2 months ago?
Yeah, but
and why would we have the actual commercial trade place in Waterside name as well?
I just
Can you show me the purchase document for this vehicle then?
This vehicle?
Yes.
I'll show you.
Thank you.
The sheriffs have the power to search a debtor's premises for information concerning their writ.
Excuse me.
This is called diligent search, Mr. Hack.
Can you don't go through my personal stuff?
I'm going to have to go through it, sir, because I believe the company's still trading from here.
Delving through the files doesn't show Waterside Car Sales have gone.
There you go. Waterside Cars Limited. That's corporation tax. That's not you. So they've left those paperwork as well, have they? Is that not you, Waterside Car Sales?
Of course I am.
So you are Waterside Car Sales?
What I'm saying is we took this name over. It was there.
We're finding vehicles which are for sale with Waterside in the windscreen, which has the same telephone number as yours, printed, not handwritten.
The evidence suggests this is still Waterside Car Sales.
You shouldn't be using their
Shouldn't be
signage.
using
their
Waterside
car. It
cars.
doesn't make any sense to do that.
What I'm suggesting is Waterside Car Sales is still operating from these premises. You're selling vehicles on behalf of Waterside.
I'm not selling cars.
They're there.
All the sheriffs think they need now is one killer piece of paperwork that links this man to this company.
Mohammed Hack.
Yes.
Mohammed Hack, Waterside Car Sales.
Oh, here we go.
But it clearly says Mohammed Hack, Waterside Cars. You have nothing to do with it.
I just told you, sir, this is what I'm using. Waterside
Hack,
Cars is name.
Mr. Hack, you shouldn't be using another company's name. Sir.
Of course I can use it.
Is that fraud then?
How could it be fraud?
There's no point us going around in circles. I want to start listing down the vehicles outside, and you can talk to him about payments, okay? But I'm going to start taking control of all your vehicles outside.
The sheriffs hope the man might come to his senses once he realises the sheriffs are going to take control of his stock. And Craig makes sure he knows what Tommy is doing.
And if you can't pay this bill, then we're going to take further steps to take them away today.
But
It's your choice, Mr. Hack. It's your choice.
There's enough evidence showing that basically our company's here, so we can, yeah.
Finally, Mr. Hack of Waterside Car Sales is beginning to talk about paying some money.
It's as
But
simple
I
as
don't
that.
have this kind of money to pay you straight away.
Then I can't help you out then, Mr. Hack. How you run your business is up to you.
But you have to give me some time.
No, we don't.
But how do you expect me to pay this kind of money?
Because
in
the
one
court,
go?
because the courts say you have to. If you want to pay it, you can do, or we can execute it here and now at further cost to yourself.
If they execute the writ, that will mean taking control of vehicles on the forecourt. Craig gives Mr. Hack a moment to think about paying up.
You've got a breakdown here, sir. Look. Point it. You've got a card reader.
And he's told Tommy he'll pay up in full, via credit card. Katie and Andrew will get their money back from Waterside Car Sales after all.
That's the £1,000 off the account.
But even that won't be straightforward. It will be paid off by several different credit cards.
Okay, how much you want on that one, sir?
No, 1,700.
So £210 and 71 pence now.
Piece of friendly advice, I would disassociate yourself with anything to do with water. Side car sales in the future.
Okay, I'll leave it
Leave
with
it
you.
with you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
It took some detective work, but the sheriffs are happy.
Lured him into the trap of saying what he needs to say to hang himself, really. £2,940 he's actually paid over 3 card payments. And Tommy's just handed me the piece of the resistance. That's his card.
Apparently he's got nothing to do with that company, but they're all over his desk.
It's another challenging job over for Craig and Tommy. But more importantly, it means Katie and Andrew getting back the money they are owed.
The whole him denying who he was and the whole trying to get out of paying doesn't surprise us at all, does it?
Thank you so much to the sheriffs, Craig and Tommy. They've been fantastic.
It's kind of is an end to this whole saga. We'll be able to put it behind us.
Mr. Hack told us that the company's registered address is elsewhere, not the garage where the sheriffs enforced. He said everyone had the legal right to a warranty, but that the clients had not written to him, and that he had offered them a refund or repair. He said he had not received the court paperwork and would look into legal action to get his money back. There have been sheriffs since Saxon times, and they only enforce High Court writs.
I've got an high court writ. I'm executing it today.
Doesn't matter what the dispute is, you have to pay.
If you've been awarded money by a court but haven't been paid, the sheriffs can get you what you're owed.
And it hasn't been paid, so he's transferred it up to the High Court for enforcement purposes.
If the debtor won't pay, sheriffs have the power to remove goods and have them sold at auction to repay the debt.
Take the keys, look after them until we get payment.
We've got an awful lot of stuff to take out here to clear the debt.
A High Court writ costs £60. If the sheriffs are successful, there's nothing more for the clients to pay.
So 6,900 there.
Paid it straight away, so it's all good.
If they're unsuccessful, the only cost is a compliance fee of £75 plus VAT for each enforcement. Some jobs require the sheriffs to take on some of the country's biggest brands and household names, who've been ordered to pay up. And today, Tommy and Craig find themselves a few miles away from a giant of the financial world.
We're on the way to go and do a job on behalf of Mr. Noel Daniels. Noel's gone to court and sued Barclaycard, of all people. Paper which has been sent to their registered office in London, which they've failed to respond by. We've also visited their mail centre in Leicester. They've failed to respond to any of their paperwork, so we're off to Northampton today, which is their main sort of head office, with a view to trying to collect the outstanding balance, which is £35,000 plus. So a large debt, a large organisation, and hopefully we'll do our best and get the money for him.
The claim was for damages after Barclaycard made a payment protection insurance, or PPI, repayment to a customer of around £1,500. It's not every day that the sheriffs go up against £1 billion company, so they're expecting to encounter resistance.
We'll be dealing with initially sort of security on the gate, then we'll be dealing with the claims department, then we'll be dealing with the finance department. So there's a multitude of layers that we have to go through.
Just like any other defendant, that's what you've got to remember. We have the same powers. The law's the law, and it applies to everybody. So is this all Barclaycard?
Everything. It's all Barclaycard.
The site is so big, there's a queue to get in.
This is the big corporate job, this is.
And the sheriff's first hurdle is going to be a security guard, checking who comes onto the site.
First obstacle is getting through security. Obviously they're going to stop us, they're going to want to know, I'll have to obviously explain who I am and why I'm here. Normally a big corporate company like this, I'll give them a bit of respect, as in I'll wait a small amount of time. It's a large sum of money, they should be getting someone down here rapid. We've got the law on our side.
Oh, here we go.
The sheriffs get ready to talk to security.
He's going to want to have a chat with us, isn't he? Shall I chat with him and crack on?
Just crack on.
The sheriffs decide to simply drive in.
Go on.
They do have a High Court writ after all.
There you go, son.
Simple, but the low-ceiling car park could be a problem.
You worry, Tommy?
I am at the roof, mate. Look at it.
You've got plenty of room. 2.2 metres.
Well, first hurdle done. Yeah, we're on site.
But they so nearly weren't.
The guy's gone now. Because the barrier's down now, look. Come
on, let's just keep going.
They're on a massive site. They need to find an entrance.
Well, we're here now, so it's just reception.
This isn't the main reception, I don't think. Is this the main reception? Oh yeah, it is.
It is?
Well, it's got a reception.
The sheriffs can force entry to commercial premises.
We can't get in it, can we?
Staff entrance. Where's the main entrance one?
No, it's that size. We need to go all around.
But there's probably an open door elsewhere. With over 3,000 people employed at this site, it's no wonder the building is so big that they can't find the entrance.
Mate, huge. I'm freezing, aren't I?
But finally, the sheriffs are in reception, and now have the task of finding the right person to speak to. What they don't want is to get fobbed off.
Can I speak to someone from the finance department? I'm enforcement agent.
Yeah, sure. Just bear with me a second.
Thank you very much.
It's the enforcement agent. Yeah, please. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Because I wouldn't know where to direct you.
That's fine.
Second, we'll get our security manager.
Thank you very much.
Tommy and Craig were hoping to go direct to the finance team, but now the security manager has come to see them.
Do you want to? We haven't been told about you filming.
And he wants our camera to leave the building.
Yeah, if you could. Yeah, thank you.
But Craig and Tommy are staying inside to negotiate. And soon enough, Craig has some news.
We've managed to get through the first sort of 2 or 3 tiers. We're now talking to their legal counsel. They've asked for further legal paperwork from our head office, but at the moment it's looking positive. It's just a waiting game to a certain degree. We've been an hour on site now, which we think is justifiable for them to have sufficient time to dig into this situation if they wanted to sort it out.
Craig heads back inside to rejoin the negotiation. 2 heads are better than 1 when you're trying to negotiate a £35,000 plus payment from the legal team of a giant of the financial industry. Outside the building, all seems calm. But inside, the sheriffs are locking horns with Barclaycard to get their client paid. Not surprisingly, the legal team at Barclaycard are not happy. After 2.5 hours inside the building, Craig has an update.
The legal counsel from Barclaycard have come back to us. They're saying that they don't acknowledge the actual claim, they don't acknowledge the actual defendant. However, given the situation that they're faced with at the moment, they'll be making full and final payment today. They are going to go back to court. That's their legal right to do so. But obviously from today, the payment will be made in the form of a bank transfer in full and final settlement.
Craig heads back in to collect the balance as a happy man. But hours later, he still isn't finished. Once back inside, the battle to get paid was far from over. The sheriffs allowed Barclaycard what they felt was a reasonable time to pay, but no transfer was made. In accordance with their writ, they informed the Barclaycard team that they intended to take control of company items to clear the debt, at which point the team offered to pay the debt on their credit cards.
Off the premises, isn't it?
It's been a remarkable end to the enforcement.
A bit of a battle, that one. It was a 5-hour period to get it paid. And me and Craig got to a point where we wasn't happy with the evidence they were producing, referenced this transfer. So our pressure point was that we were going to wander around, take control of goods, which we're there to do and legally can. And that prompted the credit card payments.
They've got all their hierarchy from the building lined up outside the office, and one by one they came in and they were paying 9,000, 7,000, 6,000, 4,000, and eventually over a number of credit cards they managed to pay the whole lot off.
Obviously we're there to get full payment, and as long as it takes we'll stay there, whether it's all day we'll still be there. Got the result we wanted in the end.
Following the sheriff's enforcement, Barclaycard told us, due to an internal administration error, the relevant court papers did not reach their legal team, and they had no opportunity to respond in court. They say they have already issued a cheque to Mr. Daniels for the full PPI redress amount, and don't feel that the unspecified damages of £30,000 are justified, so have applied to the court to contest them. They say they are determined to resolve the case as soon as possible. In the Midlands today, Craig and Tommy have got a job to do, and they're confident they're going to get a result.
We're off to Halezone this afternoon, off to see a company called John Harris & Co. Claims in this particular case is Anthony Smith. The debt value is about £1,800. Could be a landlord, could be a tenant. We're not really interested, to be fair. We're only there under the terms of the court order to get it paid.
But one person who cares very much about how the sheriffs get on today is former landlord Anthony Smith. Anthony is an engineer from Halezone in the West Midlands. Several years ago, his parents passed away, but left him and his brother a wonderful gift, the family home. It meant a lot to Anthony.
The house was in the family for 30 years, and there was too many memories in the house just to sell it. And we decided to rent it out for the time being until we were committed to selling it.
Luckily, Anthony knew a lettings agent that he trusted. An old associate from a pub he used to drink at was now running an agency in the area, and Anthony immediately thought of giving him the property to rent out.
Mr. Harris was contracted to rent out the house, and for 10% of the monthly rent was his fee. And included in that fee, he would find us a new tenant, take an inventory, also carry out inspections of the property to see that it was being looked after properly.
Anthony's work required him to be based in China. As a successful engineer, he was extremely busy and wasn't able to keep an eye on how the tenancy of his parents' house was going. For 3 years, he thought all was well, until he was contacted by his partner in the UK.
I'd got a Skype call from Sheila and my brother, and they sent out photographs of the state of the property had been left in.
The tenant John Harris had put into the house had moved out after 3 years in the property, but they'd not left the place in anything like the state they had found it.
Well, the dog completely destroyed the leather suite. There was an expensive leather suite in there, which was my mother's, and it was just thrown in the garage, and it was just in pieces. They'd broken every single window in the house, and the window that locks off, and super glued the windows shut. I mean, the bathroom, the windows, the carpets, everything was just, it had to be thrown. We had to hire 2 skips just to remove the rubbish they left behind for us. I can't believe how a house can be abused so much in 3 years. These people had no respect at all for a nice surrounding. You would never treat your own property like that.
Anthony was upset because he felt that letting agent John Harris should have been aware that the property was getting into a bad state. He was taking 10% of the rent each month after all, but there was worse to come. Tony returned to England from China and took a close look at his bank balance. It seemed there were rental payments missing.
He'd missed a month, and then he'd put the next month at the end of the month, and then it looked like that month had gone in, and then he'd miss a month again. But then, because I was out in China so much, I wasn't keeping an eye on it, and eventually when the tenants had moved out and we checked the bank account, there was 3.5 payments missing.
Anthony says he checked and rechecked his bank account, but the money simply wasn't there.
I went down to see Mr. Harris, arranged a meeting, and I went through the amount of months that the tenants had been in, payments into the bank account, and I said to him, it's not rocket science, 1 and 1 makes 2, it's simple as that. But he refused then to talk anymore, and we had no alternative but to go to court.
Anthony brought his case about the missing rent to court. John Harris defended himself, but the judgment was in Anthony's favour.
The magistrate asked us if we wanted to claim for the property and the damages, and I said no, it's just, I just want the rent. They moved in the middle of the month, so technically they owe a full month, but we're letting them off for half a month. At that point, Mr. Harris said to the magistrate I was being greedy, which was quite laughable.
Anthony feels like he hasn't had the last laugh. Letting agent John Harris still hasn't paid up what the court said he owed, so Anthony has called in the sheriffs.
After 14 months, I was just totally frustrated, and what do I do? How do I get my money? I liked what I'd seen on with the sheriff, so I got in touch, and if these guys can't get my money, then nobody's going to get it.
Emotionally, Anthony feels he wants to do what his mum and dad would have thought was the right thing.
If she's sitting up there looking down, she wouldn't be very happy, but unfortunately, I put the business Mr. Harris's way, and he let me down terribly.
Two people who are hoping not to let him down are Sheriffs Tommy and Craig. And in Hales Owen, the sheriffs have found the John Harris office and are looking to get Anthony his money back.
Hello, my name's Mr. Wild. We're hardcore enforcement agents. Can you get the boss on the phone for me?
Is he driving? Is he back at 2 o'clock?
If you can get him on the phone, I can pre-warn him, to be fair.
Nowadays, sheriffs send debtors a letter to inform them they need to pay what they owe. So Craig and Tommy's visit should be no surprise to John Harris.
Hello, sir. I'm a High Court enforcement agent, and I've got a High Court writ of control to execute today, and the value of the liability is £1,862 and a penny.
But there's a problem. John Harris is saying that he shouldn't have to pay. At least not yet.
I've got the court order here, sir, compelling you to discharge the liability. If you want to come down and have a look at it, that's fine. But failure to obviously pay this liability means that we have to execute it. Taking control of the goods here today.
That should focus his mind.
How long will you be, sir? No problem at all. Bye. His argument is that the courts, he wasn't notified of the court process, even though there's been 3 or 4 opportunities to discharge it. From what he was saying, he was going to apply to leave of the court to challenge it, and he was still waiting for the court to come back to him.
And while Craig lets the owner know exactly how the land lies, Tommy is looking out for assets.
Just to save time, I'm starting to take control of the goods and see what he's got to say when he gets here.
While the business might not have huge assets, Tommy knows they will be reliant on what they do have.
But it's not a huge debt, so they're not going to want to lose their computers and stuff. I'm sure he'll be able to discharge it in full.
Tommy and Craig are about to find out, as owner John Harris is here.
Here we go. He's here. You alright?
Yeah.
He wants to check they've done things by the book.
This thing that was delivered to me, who signed for it?
No, it's delivered by post.
The sheriff's records show the paperwork was sent, and at this point, John Harris asks our camera to leave. Inside, he's on the phone to his solicitor. The sheriffs will now have to talk to them about paying the debt. After half an hour, they're out with some news.
The solicitor was quite anti at first, as all solicitors tend to be. Was questioning our enforcement processes. I explained to him it fully complied with. He then instructed his client to pay it.
It's a payment in full.
That's good news for homeowner Anthony. But business owner Mr. Harris is not happy. The sheriffs may have got money from him today, but he plans to do something about it.
I asked for leave to appeal, and next thing I know, these gentlemen have come into my offices. I phoned up my solicitor on legal advice. I've paid them, but we now have 14 days to dispute the facts.
The payment was not disputed, however, and Anthony got his money and finally some closure.
I do have to thank Craig and Tommy. They've done a fabulous job. It was a quick result, and I'm very happy, and my family are happy.
If you're owed money but aren't getting paid, it's time to call the sheriffs.
My name's Mr. Griggs. My colleague and I are enforcement agents.
I'm here to issue a High Court writ. I've got to do what I'm instructed to by the court.
They're enforcement agents of the High Court. And if a court's ruled in your favour, they're on your side. If the debtor doesn't want to pay,
You currently owe £9,461.80.
the law says the sheriffs can get you what you're owed.
If you don't come to the door, we have to remove the vehicle off the drive.
You're allowed a week to pay in full before it gets sold at auction.
Whether it's a small company
Can I speak to the person in charge, please?
or a household name,
We're here to see somebody from G4S.
if they owe you money, the sheriffs get it paid.
I'm not going anywhere. You get him to come in here.
We're not going to be waiting around like that. It needs to be done now. It's collected 42 grand.
Coming up, Lawrence and Kev face an unusual barricade on an eviction job.
It's very interesting.
I think it's probably dead. Box it off, mate.
But will they be able to get in and reclaim the building for its owners? Claire Yu wasn't paid the rent she was due from a lettings agent.
He owed me about 6 months' rent. That was quite hard for me and my family because I still had to pay the mortgage.
Sheriff Ken Warby has an ultimatum for the manager.
I'm going to have to insist on half payment, or I remove the goods.
A bathroom supplier who's fallen behind with payments is taken by surprise when the sheriffs come to call.
Until you guys turned up today, I thought they'd just give me a bit of a breathing space to try and get some money together.
He's got cash, but is it enough? And Sheriff Alan Pennington pays a visit to a company which makes retail displays.
I'm pretty sure that's one of them going now.
But is he too late?
This company is in administration stroke liquidation.
Sheriff Ken Warby is in East London on his way to a lettings agent in Whitechapel.
Our claimant was letting a property through them, and the debtor has not released the money to our claimant. We're going for approximately £8,500, including sheriff fees.
The lettings agent is called Home Trader Properties. They owe money to full-time mum Claire Yu, who found herself in dispute with the company after deciding to buy a house to rent out.
I was looking for a house for a buy-to-let investment, so I wanted somewhere that is as close to London as possible.
She managed to find what she thought would be an ideal property in Plaistow, not too far from central London, but still affordable.
It is actually a 3-bed terrace house with 2 receptions and a basement. So one reception can be used as a bedroom as well. And it's close to all the amenities, the hospital and public transport.
Her offer on the property was accepted and the sale went through quickly. As there was already a tenant living there, the seller made a suggestion.
The vendor discussed with me and said, well, they have been good tenants. And he said that currently I've got a guaranteed rent contract with the managing agent and they pay me every month on no problem. So why don't we just keep the tenant and save all the hassle?
The tenancy had been managed by Home Trader Properties and its agent confirmed they'd be willing for Claire to keep the existing tenant on the same terms.
You will get the guaranteed rent for $1,300 every month. So it doesn't matter whether the tenants pay or not, since they organized everything for me and made it easy for me and they told me that you don't have to pay anything. I thought, well, why not?
For the first few months, the rent was paid as promised, but then payments began to be delayed, with the man at Home Traders saying there were problems with tenants' housing benefit.
He told me that because the tenant is on housing benefits, the tenant's rent is actually paid by the council, and apparently the tenant did some part-time job over in December and she didn't put in some paperwork and I don't know, some red tape. So anyway, they claimed that the council had stopped giving them the rent.
And despite Claire's contract saying the rent would be guaranteed no matter what, payments continued to lag behind.
They just dragged on and on and on, and they kept telling me the same thing, that it's not sorted out yet and we're actually paying you out of my own money. That's what he told me.
Although Home Trader Properties did make some payments, the arrears continued to mount up.
He owed me about $9,000, which is about 6 months' rent. That was quite hard for me and my family because I still had to pay the mortgage that was going on all this time. So I had to save up and stinge on certain aspects of our lives so that I would be able to pay for the mortgage in order not to have the house repossessed.
Claire decided the only way to stop the situation getting worse was to get the problem tenant evicted. In the meantime, the agents made occasional payments, but nowhere near what she was owed.
He told me, don't worry, I'm not going to cheat your money. When the tenant leaves, we'll sort it out once the tenant leaves, right? So the tenant left, I went to see him and said, okay, now the tenant has left. Can I have my payment, please? And he started to give me more excuses. Just give me 2 weeks, I promise, 3 weeks, we'll give you a payment in 3 weeks' time. So I tried calling him so many times. Just to speak to him, I have to call like 10 times a day just to catch him. And then he'll say, oh, I'll call you back tomorrow or I'll check this out. And he never calls me back. So that's when I decided to take him to court.
But while she was going through the court process, Claire received some surprising news.
The council called me up to find out why I evicted the tenant, because the tenant was a bit upset. And I told her it's because the agent hasn't paid the rent for 6 months. That's when I found out that the council had been paying the rent, but it's just that every month they just deducted a little bit. So that's when I found out that he actually had all the money all this time.
Claire won her case in court after the agents didn't enter a defence. the judge ordered them to pay back the money they owed to Claire.
He still didn't do anything. There was no response from him. And that's when I decided to escalate the case to the sheriffs, because I've seen them on TV and they do really well. They are my only hope of recovering my money from me.
In East London, Ken is on his way to Home Trader Properties to get Claire's money back. It's a large sum, but will there be enough assets to cover it?
There can be assets to seize at an estate agent's, yeah, computers, printers. There's not usually a great deal, but there's still usually a bit of office equipment there. Right, I found the place, it's there, but there's no parking, surprise, surprise. You've got to watch the wardens, they come out of the cracks of the pavement, do you? I usually have it on my Bromleys pretty quick and get to my car before I get a ticket.
On your what, Ken?
Bromley by Bows, toes.
Spoken like a true Cockney. The next rhyming slang we'll need is the one for pay up.
Knock, knock. Hello. Hi there. Can I speak to the person in charge, please?
Yeah. Hi.
Is that yourself, sir?
Yeah.
My name's Mr. Warby, from the courts, Sheriff's Office. This is regarding a judgment against Home Trader Properties.
The man doesn't seem to recognise the details of the case, but another staff member does.
The solicitor send it to you later.
Well, we're here as a result of a writ of control from the High Court.
Yeah, where is that?
Ken shows his writ, but the man says the matter is still in dispute, and he asks our cameraman to leave. Inside, the boss tells Ken that he is contesting the court's decision, and so he doesn't want to pay. He says the matter is being dealt with by his solicitor, Mr. Hack. And as his office is only next door, he asks Ken to come and see him. But they don't get very far.
After you? After you? After you, I insist. I'll tell you what, I'm not going anywhere. You get him to come in here.
The boss refused to leave first, making Ken suspicious it's a ruse to lock him out of the shop.
I've changed my mind. I want to see him in here.
Mr. Hack does come to the agent. Our camera is invited back in to record the conversation. Ken's now had a chance to survey the assets in the office, and there's not much, so he offers a deal.
Total stands at $8,496.60. What I'm prepared to do today is accept half this payment from your client and give 14 days to pay the balance.
Okay.
Okay, what I've done is I've taken a list, an inventory of assets at this address, and providing I get a signed writ of control, I'll give you that 14 days.
All right, okay. My client is entitled to take 14 days fully without any payment being offered at this stage, because my client has submitted the defense, which it seems the court might have misplaced it or lost it. As a result, there is a good chance my client will be able to set aside the judgment.
Mr. Hack says the court lost his client's paperwork, so he wants 14 days to make a new application to challenge the judgment. But the courts have issued Ken with a live writ, which needs to be paid and no excuses.
As it stands at the moment, I'm here with this writ control and I'm going to have to insist on half payment.
My client is not bound to pay and has an established business over here. I don't think they will walk away. If you insist on, I believe probably you are going beyond the normal practice.
I think I'm being more than reasonable. The choice is your client either pays half of it or I call up a removal van and remove the goods on my list.
Make a complaint. It's up to you.
You can make a complaint, sir, if that's what you want to do.
Yes, we can.
Mr. Hack's refusing to back down. Instead, he wants to make a complaint. Ken gets the office on the phone, but it's his turn to speak first.
Hello, Jack, it's Ken. Require a removal van if possible. It's general office equipment.
Ken's ramped up the pressure, but Mr. Hack's come out fighting.
Okay, this is Jackie.
Hi, Mr. Jackie. Thank you very much for receiving the call. The reason I speak to you is to make a complaint. My client has a reputation here that is being infringed by your unlawful and unethical and unusual practice.
Mr. Hack wrongly believes that Ken is exceeding his powers. The office asks him to put his concerns in writing.
A complaint can be lodged orally and in writing later on, and that's what I am doing it now. All right, if my client is forced to pay, it is subject to the complaint. Thank you, Jackie. I don't think we can go any further than that. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
It's recorded, all recorded. I'm going to make a complaint.
Mr. Hack leaves, and our cameras again asked to step outside. While the boss mulls over the offer of half payment, Ken continues to list the assets in the office. But in the end, removing them isn't necessary. Realising that the sheriffs have the law on their side, the boss gives in.
They paid me half after some argument, and I've got a controlled goods agreement for them to pay the balance within 14 days. The job went well. I listed the items in there. If they was to go at auction, you probably wouldn't get much more than £1,000 for them anyway.
And as for their solicitor, Mr. Hack's objections, Ken isn't the least bit worried.
He seems to think that they should have 14 days before they have to pay any money whatsoever. I did tell him it was down to my discretion, and I wanted half payment there and then, which is what I got.
Sure enough, Home Trader paid the final balance, and Claire Yu has got back the money she was owed.
I'm very happy about this because I never expected anyone to be able to recover the money from him, but they managed to do it, so I'm very, very thankful to them.
The manager of Home Trader Properties says that the tenants' housing benefit payments were in arrears of £4,476. He says he paid for maintenance work on the property for which Ms. Yu's never been charged. And he says that the lettings agents covered the legal costs of the eviction, totalling £1,280. If you've been ripped off and the person or company responsible refuses to pay you back, the first step is to make a claim in the county court. It's simple to do this online, for a small fee depending on the size of the claim. The court will review the evidence, and if it finds in your favour, the debtor will be ordered to pay up. If they don't, then for a further £60, the High Court will grant a writ, authorising the sheriffs to act on your behalf. If they're successful, you get all your money back. It's an early start for Lawrence and Kev, who are on their way to a car garage in Luton. The business owners stopped paying rent, so the landlord wants the premises back.
It's a car body shop, and the tenant has been evicted twice already, I believe, but it keeps breaking back in again and carrying on business. So we're going up there today, taking possession of the premises and then handing it over to the client.
This job is a writ of possession, where the sheriffs are taking back a building rather than pursuing a debt. But from the information they've been given, it sounds like there could be complications.
We're advised that the roller shutter may be blockaded on the inside by a vehicle.
And that's not all.
There's a small gated yard to the front where we've been advised there might be a dog.
Sound too bad? Famous last words?
Yeah, I bet it'll still bite you.
Maybe.
When they arrive, it's still early and the garage is shut. It becomes immediately obvious that they've got a problem on their hands.
Oh, so that's what he's doing.
Oh, now I understand.
Yeah. So that is going to be a bit of a pain. We were presuming the car was inside and the door opens outwards, but the door opens outwards with a car in front.
So we've now got to get the car moved back before we can get through the door.
As the handbrake's on, that's going to be tricky, but locksmith Andy Marsh thinks he might be able to help.
Could try and open it with through the
airbag. Through the puppy bag, have you?
Yeah, and then see if we can just pull the door around and see if that does it.
Yeah.
If Andy can get in and take the handbrake off, it'd be problem solved.
We use airbags. That won't damage the vehicle in any way. It's all electric, so you won't be able to wind the windows down or anything like that, so it's pretty much fingers crossed on this one. Pressure's on.
While Andy gets started, Lawrence and Kev get their bit of good news. The dog's not here.
The neighbour has advised us that if the dog was in there, we'd have heard it by now.
So I'm not going to get bitten as yet. It's always nice to hear.
Meanwhile, Andy's struggling.
I think he's probably deadlocked it off, mate.
If the car's been fitted with deadlocks, they won't get in without a key.
Oh yeah, of course it's Vauxhall, isn't it?
Some you in, some you lose. But one way or another, it'll be moved.
The only option now might be a tow truck, which the landlord has said they would provide if needed. Lawrence gets on the phone, only to find they've been let down.
She just informed me her nephew was looking into it, and the guy they were going to use is in Poland, so he's been trying to find somebody else.
If the sheriffs had known, they would have brought one themselves. Now it's too late.
You know, this is one of the issues you get occasionally. The client says that they're going to arrange a truck, so we've left it for them to arrange a truck.
Soon, the landlord herself arrives with her solicitor, and it turns out she's pretty pleased to see Lawrence and Kev.
Hi, Lawrence.
Morning.
I'm Fisa. You okay? Hi, Kev. You okay?
Hi there, how you doing?
Hello. All right.
Big fan of you guys. I didn't think I'd actually meet you guys ever in my life, but it happens to be, yeah?
While the family starts calling around for a tow truck, Kev's looking at other options.
Hello, mate. You haven't got any skates, have you? You're not got any? Has anyone around here got any, do you think? Yeah.
Skates are rollers which can be used to move a stationary car, and the search is on to see if they can borrow some. Meanwhile, Lawrence is looking at another way of getting inside the building.
Do you know which way the fire exit is?
You know, innit?
The fire exits, they're all linked.
There might be access at the back through the next door garage, so Lawrence goes to investigate.
These chaps in the back, the problem is they dump a load of rubbish. I'll show you. If you go right through here.
Oh yeah.
They dump a load of rubbish in the back there.
Well, you'd be out, all right, getting out in the fire, they wouldn't, would they?
It's a no-go. The alley's completely blocked. Back on the forecourt, the landlords haven't given up on the car and are taking matters into their own hands.
What are we towing it with now? It's going to be dragged.
It's be interesting. Safety footwear.
And it's not just the funky footwear troubling Lawrence.
My concern is that silly little strap thing that you can buy out of a petrol station. It is no way rated to tow something that's in gear with the brakes on. If that hook goes...
Could well ping.
Yeah, so...
Don't stand too close to that.
It's not quite the setup Lawrence and Kev are used to.
Not ideal, to say the least, but it's not ideal in the slightest.
Cable is not rated to pull that at all.
But will it work?
See, the strain that's over on getting further back. There we go.
This is so ghetto, isn't it? This is...
Later, we find out whether the sheriffs can get into the garage.
Petrol grinder pretty much goes for everything and anything.
In the northeast, Sheriff Chris Pearson is on his way to a very different kind of job. He's going to see a seller of upmarket bathrooms who's got a debt to pay.
We're off to Stockton-on-Tees to see a company called Envy Homes.
Envy Homes owes £2,286 after falling behind with payments to a supplier, City Distribution Limited. The company was taken to court. It didn't defend the case, and judgment was found against it. Chris has been told it's a small one-man company, and on arrival is pleasantly surprised.
Envy Homes. That looks more than a one-man band to me. If it's a company, they normally have assets and it's normally straightforward. Fingers crossed that's how it's going to be here.
It's a large showroom full of stock. But despite it being the middle of the day, there doesn't seem to be anyone in. Just as he's trying to reach the debtor by phone, a man arrives.
How are you doing? Is this your premises, sir?
It is, yes.
Yeah, all right. Got a High Court writ to do with City Distribution Limited. You've got a balance at the minute, £2,285.61.
Right, I wasn't aware that it was that much at all.
The boss of Envy Homes clearly knew he owed money, but doesn't seem to have realised how serious the situation had become.
I haven't got all that sort of money at the moment, not, of course not on me, but I dare say I could have like half of it within a couple of days.
Yeah, you need to go, oh no, we're actually here to take control of your goods.
Right.
To sell them at auction, basically. And I understand it's a lot of money to try and get together, but you need to get on the phone to somebody, see if you can organise the funds for us. Because worst case scenario, mate, if you don't do that, we are going to have to take your goods.
I'll see what I can do.
No problem. I'll hang fire for you, mate, no problem.
The man goes inside to see if he can raise the money, and for the time being at least, Chris is happy to wait.
It's not worth pushing it, causing a fracas just because we need it straight away. Give him time to make a few phone calls. I'm sure the threat of us going in there and taking his stock, I think it's going to be more than enough to get him to get the funds for us.
And while the boss does what he has to do, Chris is doing a bit of window shopping.
The missus wants a new sink. I like them, don't you? They're nice. I like that mirror. I mean, I know it's just a standard mirror, but the effect of it's nice, isn't it? Might throw a mirror in for her as well.
The boss has called some friends to try to borrow the money, and while he waits to hear back, tells Chris what's gone on.
I always paid them. I had problems before, but I always cleared my debts, so okay. But just this year, it's just killed it. It's just dead, and so I couldn't pay the first month. Then the second month hit, and I just sort of said, look, I'm sorry, I'm still struggling. I just assumed they'd realised it was business was a bit bad, and they were just taking it easy. I didn't realise, I didn't expect you guys to turn up to do it that way.
But the county judgment was issued against the business more than 2 months ago, and it should have been settled. Now faced with a demand for immediate payment, it's not clear whether he's going to be able to get the money together.
I don't always phone in what's happening, to be honest. If he can't get the money, there's plenty of assets for us to take control of, so we're fine there. So basically I can give him as long as he needs, really. He seems a genuine guy. He's trying to sort things out, so try and give him a bit of extra time.
Time to check out the bathtubs.
Very nice. I don't think we can afford these prices, though. Bit expensive in here. We're more B&Q type people, to be honest.
Meanwhile,
I think we might be sorted.
The boss has called in a couple of favours, and some friends have dropped by with the cash. It looks like Chris is home and dry, but when he counts the money, there seems to be a problem.
What should he say was that?
It should be exactly right. Is it off, is it?
Absolutely, it's quite a way off. Maybe 520 short by the looks of it.
The man had told Chris it was the right amount to the penny, yet more than £500 seems to be missing.
1740, is that what you've got?
The man can't seem to explain what's happened.
Could you give me 5 minutes?
Yeah.
See what I can sort out, because I don't know why. I don't know, I'm sure, because I'm...
Just when it looked like the job was in the bag, everything's been thrown into doubt. If the man doesn't have the cash, then Chris might have to take goods after all. But luckily, it turns out to be a simple mistake.
Right, located, mate. There was some in the bottom of the back of the drawer. Check it over, but it's definitely right now.
The missing cash was there all along, but had been hiding at the back of a drawer. Chris counts again, and this time, it's good.
Yeah, that's right there. Well done, mate. Brilliant, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your help. Cheers, appreciate that.
The bathroom seller is relieved to be able to clear his debt and send the sheriff on his way. Even if he still thinks it didn't have to come to this.
At the end of the day, I wasn't planning on going anywhere. As you can see, all my showroom's still here, but the company decided to basically go forward and put a county court judgment against the company to get the money back. But it's, as I said, you can only pay it if you got it. Until you guys turned up today, I thought they'd just give me a bit of a breathing space to try and get some money together.
The man's supplier has finally got the money they were owed, and Chris is just glad to see the matter resolved in the best way possible.
He's a genuine guy, pretty nice guy, so I'm happy for him that he got the money together, rather than having to tip him out, take all the gears.
Lawrence and Kev are in Luton, trying to reclaim a garage for its owner after the tenant stopped paying rent. But a car's blocking the door, and a tow truck which was promised hasn't arrived. So now the landlords are trying to move the car themselves, much to Lawrence and Keb's disapproval.
Good well ping.
Yeah.
Their first attempt failed. Now, it's take two.
Not's going to go, not's going to go.
Not ready to pull that at all.
This time, it works.
How do ya?
Yeah, done.
Yeah, remarkably enough, the double knot and the little garage tow rope did the job.
Now it's just a matter of getting through the door.
Petrol grinder pretty much goes for everything and anything. Diamond tip blade on it.
Andy gets to work. He's through the hinges. And a crowbar finishes the job.
That was it, was that? There you go.
No problem.
Inside, the garage has been left in a bit of a mess, and you need to watch your step. But much to the landlord's relief, there's no sign of any major damage, and the equipment they own is still there.
Right, just a case of making it secure then, isn't it?
Yep.
While work starts on the doors, Lawrence takes a look around. The tenant owes rent, and so, along with the writ to evict him, they've got another one to take control of goods. But there's nothing here of value. Certainly no sign of the supercars advertised outside.
Works on some nice cars, Ferraris, Aston Martins, Lamborghinis, Porsches. Can't see many people rushing to bring their Lamborghini here, to be honest, but hey-ho.
The only things of interest are some dirt bikes, but it's not clear who they belong to.
They haven't got number plates on them, so there's no real way of ascertaining ownership. Yeah, they're street legal, to be honest.
Another obstacle to enforcing the writ of control is that they have to serve the former tenant notice.
I brought a notice of enforcement with me today, in case he'd been here. If he turned up, I could have served him with the notice, but he hasn't, so we've now got to have an alternative address, because obviously this is no longer his address. Hopefully, he won't be able to get back in here.
So for now, all that's left to do is seal the property up. And this time, the landlord's solicitor wants it done properly.
We used commercial bailiffs initially. We got possession of the premises, and the occupier broke back in the next day. So we then got a county court bailiff to come round, and again the occupier broke back in the next day, which is why the sheriffs are here.
And they're not going to make the same mistake.
Check out the fire exit. Apparently, this is how he got in last time.
Yeah, he's nailed it all up.
He seems to have screwed it up quite securely since he got back in, but I still see this as the weak point. So we're just making extra sure that it's secured.
And then it's time to head off, though not before enjoying a bit more attention from their fans.
Yeah.
They've been banging on about you guys for ages. Oh, stop it.
It's all coming out now.
The sheriffs are coming. Hopefully I'll tell you everything what I see.
Oh, really? Sounds interesting.
You'll start blushing again.
I might do.
Yes.
Quite nice to not be getting abused. Makes a change, but no, it's nice.
Job done. Off for breakfast. There you go, there's your keys.
Cheers then. Cheers then.
See you later.
Very nice meeting you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The premises is safely back in the hands of its relieved owners, and with another successful job in the bag, the sheriffs are on their way. Sheriffs are now officially known as High Court Enforcement Agents, and they'll collect the money you're owed.
My job is to collect in full or remove goods.
They've got more powers of entry than bailiffs.
We don't have to take any notice of your security protocol, I'm afraid.
And there's no limit on the size of the debts they can pursue.
£1.6 million.
Their fees are set by the government, which debtors have to pay on top of what they already owe.
Thank you very much. See you later.
If the sheriffs can't recover any of your money, there's a fee of £75 plus VAT.
Then take exit 2357 toward M67.
Debts are much more likely to be paid if the debtor is in a sound financial position. But the sheriffs often find themselves knocking on the doors of companies that are in trouble. In Manchester, enforcement agent Alan Pennington is on his way to see just such a business.
I'm off to I4 Retail Display Group Limited from Denton, just outside Manchester. Don't really know much about the case. I've just been asked by the High Court to execute the writ.
The company has been taken to court by one of its suppliers. It didn't defend the case, and judgment was found against it. It now owes a total of £7,866.
If they can't make the payment today, then what we'll be looking for is phones, display units, maybe computers, those types of things.
Arriving at M34.
The address on the writ leads to an industrial estate. Alan heads to the building where it looks like 14 Retail might be based. Someone buzzes him in, but once inside, he's met with a locked door. And no one's answering.
They must be in. The building's definitely open. It looks like, looking at the paperwork, that they actually build display units for shops. And this is the office, but the rest of the building belongs to them as well. Let me just go and see if I can find another way in.
Alan starts to scout around the outside of the building, but it's all a bit puzzling.
All the lights are on.
And it's nearly 9:30, yet no one is answering anywhere.
I noticed they don't advertise themselves. The building hasn't got any identity on it.
A chat with one of the neighbours confirms this is 14 Retail Group, and the business was definitely open yesterday.
Basically what we found is that the display units that they build on are in the big part of the building, and the main part we've been in already are offices. But the landlord apparently works in the retail park straight ahead. So if we can't get an answer in the next couple of minutes, I'll go and see the landlord.
But before it comes to that, Alan spots someone in the car park.
You guys work for next door? Who's opened the front door? You guys? What time does your boss normally come in? All right, I'll wait till he comes in. Thanks, fellas.
Alan gets in the car to wait it out.
You've got to put a time limit on, because obviously you've got other work to do as well, so I'll give him 10 or 15 minutes. I don't really want to catch him on the doorstep. I'll wait till you get in.
And after a couple of minutes, he spots someone in his mirror.
I'm pretty sure that's one of them going now.
Alan heads in, and this time he gets an answer.
Hello, are you part of the office team?
Yes.
Okay. I'm an enforcement agent. I'm here to execute a writ on behalf of the High Court.
Okay. What I can advise is that this company is in administration stroke liquidation. It's a bit emotional right now for me.
Do you mind if I come in?
The man isn't the boss, but an employee who's clearly reeling from the shock of the company going under. But Alan is here to collect a debt, and so he needs to get to the bottom of exactly what the situation is.
My name's Mr. Pennington from the Sheriff's Office, okay? You're saying you actually applied for liquidation, or you're in liquidation?
I'm not 100% sure. All I know is I've been asked to come in, and today I'm going to meet the gentleman who's carrying out the deed, if you will.
You just found out this morning?
I found out last night. Effectively, we've all been made redundant.
Alan's chances of getting the money the claimants owed are now looking slim. The liquidator is due to arrive later today. But as Alan can't leave until he's sure the company isn't still trading, he gets him on the phone.
Hello, Neil. It's Mr. Pennington here from the High Court. I believe you're coming here today. Right.
The liquidator confirms that the company is indeed in administration and offers to send the relevant paperwork through to the sheriff's office. That means that even if the company does have any assets left, Alan can't take them.
We'll leave now. There's nothing else I can do for your guys coming up today. Bye-bye now. Bye.
And with that, he's on his way.
I'm sorry to meet you under such
No
difficult
problem.
circumstances. Good luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
Any money or goods left in the company will now have to be split amongst the creditors. And although it's not uncommon for sheriffs to come across debtors who simply can't pay, for Alan, this was uncharted territory.
That's the first time I've been to risk of control where the liquidators have been in the night before. I empathise with them, they've all lost their positions. The claimant now will probably have to go through the administrators to find out how they could get their money back or part of it, but we can only do what we can do, and there's unfortunately no money to collect today.
Back in a soggy London, Sheriff Ken Warby is fighting his way through the afternoon traffic. He's heading to a business called Daler Kitchens Limited. They owe money to a customer who bought their units but wasn't happy with the result.
He complained to the debtor went round, took away the units, I believe, and the claimant has still paid for most of the kitchen and the shower unit.
The customer made a claim against Daler Kitchens Limited in the county court, and after hearing evidence from both parties, a judge ordered the company to pay him back. But nearly 3 months later, they still haven't. So it's down to Ken to try to collect nearly £11,000.
Well, kitchen places can vary. Sometimes you can have a lot of really expensive appliance equipment in the showrooms. Other times it could be small office, loads of catalogues, small amount of office equipment, so you can never tell. Here we are, Daler Kitchens and Bedrooms. That's our kiddie.
Writ in hand, Ken heads inside.
Hello, Daler Kitchens Limited.
Yeah.
Are you the person in charge?
Yeah.
What? My name's Mr. Warby.
The woman in the shop is just a junior member of staff. She gets the manager on the phone, and Ken explains the purpose of his visit.
Hello, yes, Mr. Warby speaking. I'm here regarding a writ of control against Daler Kitchens Limited. Is that your company, sir? Daler Kitchens Limited. You've got the name over your shop front.
Ken explains that he's here to collect nearly £11,000, including costs, and that he won't be leaving empty-handed.
We're here to collect in full or remove goods. It's in your solicitor's hands. You might want to get your solicitor to give me a call.
The man says he's applying to appeal the court's decision, but that's not going to stop Ken from collecting today.
If he's applied to get the judgment set aside, that does not supersede the High Court writ of control which we have on us at the moment. What I'm here asking for is the full amount. This hasn't been stopped, sir, because I'm here with a writ of control from the High Court. So, let me speak to your solicitor. In the meantime, I'll be getting on with my inventory. Bye.
He clearly doesn't want to pay, so Ken begins making a list of the assets in the building. Although there are a fair amount here, it's not the kind of stuff which will fetch much money at auction. Nevertheless, if the manager doesn't change his tune, then Ken will have no choice but to remove it. Meanwhile, the shop assistant gives their side of the story.
This is the customer house which we done the work. At that time, everything was okay. But after work done, everything was completed. When they shouted, this is very expensive, there is this, but I don't know what's the problem to customer.
But as this dispute has already been heard in court, the details of the case are of no interest to the sheriffs. A judge has ruled in favour of the customer, and when Daler Kitchens' solicitor soon calls, it's Ken that's giving him a lesson in the law.
We've got a stamped in the High Court writ of control. So unfortunately for your client, this kind of trumps any application that might have been made thus far.
The solicitor wants more time, but Ken thinks they've had long enough already.
I can't give these people any time. A notice of enforcement was sent to this address and it's gone unanswered, and that's why we're here now.
But with the goods in the shop not worth much to Ken, he offers a deal.
Providing they pay the balance within 14 days, I would be willing to get a signed controlled goods agreement, but I am going to need at least 50% of this debt paid now. We're talking £5,500.
The solicitor agrees to put the offer to the shop's owner. If he doesn't accept the deal, then Ken's next call will be to the removals company. He's still waiting to hear back when another woman involved in the business arrives at the scene and takes over. She asks our camera to leave, while Ken stays inside to try to get her to pay at least half of the 11 grand owed. 45 minutes later, he's on his way.
See you later.
So, how's he got on?
And I told the lady in there that we will be removing goods if I don't get paid on half the amount outstanding. So after much deliberation, they have now paid me £1,000 in cash and £4,500 by card, and signed a controlled goods agreement to pay the balance within 14 days. The total goods in there would fetch, I would imagine, less than £2,000. So that is a good result.
Dayler Kitchens Limited later paid the other £5,500, and the customer who'd been refused a refund finally got their money back. Money but aren't getting paid, it's time to call the sheriffs.
My name's Mr. Griggs. My colleague and I are enforcement agents.
I'm here to issue a High Court writ.
I've got to do what I'm instructed to by the court.
They're enforcement agents of the High Court. And if a court's ruled in your favour, they're on your side. If the debtor doesn't want to pay,
We currently owe £9,461.80.
the law says the sheriffs can get you what you're owed.
If you don't come to the door, we have to remove the vehicle off the drive. You're allowed a week to pay in full before it gets sold at auction.
Whether it's a small company,
Can I speak to the person in charge, please?
or a household name,
We're here to see somebody from G4S.
if they owe you money, the sheriffs get it paid.
I'm not going anywhere. You get him to come in here.
We're not going to be waiting around like that. It needs to be done now. It's collected 42 grand.
Coming up, things get heated at a car dealer's in East London.
Oi, pal. Seriously,
you can come in here and start bullying people. I'll get my pals there and we see who's going to bully who.
But can Sheriff Ken Warby get them to pay the 5 grand they owe?
The value of the goods is here. Did I not warn you earlier that this would happen?
Estate agent Karen Vaughan was left on the brink of financial ruin after a building project went wrong.
The snowball effect was catastrophic. I was over £20,000 further in debt.
Enforcement agents Tommy Coyle and Craig Wild tracked down a man who owes her money, but will he pay up? In Leeds, Michael Redmond's house was left exposed to the elements after an insulation job was abandoned halfway through.
It leaked, it was drafty, it was an ISO. You could actually look through the window frames out into the street.
Sheriff Chris Pearson pays the company a visit. Can they take the heat?
The boss in there. Can you get him on the phone for me?
And when Lawrence and Kev visit a classic car restorer's, the boss admits he's made a mistake in ignoring the court.
The reason I didn't pay it was purely on principle.
It's a chilly winter's morning in London, and enforcement agent Ken Warby is working his patch in the north of the city. His first job today is to pay a visit to a car dealership in Walthamstow.
We're going to a place called BD Trade Sale Limited, and it's an individual that has taken them to court for just over 4 grand.
BD Trade Sales Limited were taken to court by a Mr. Tarsum Kainth. He bought a second-hand car which broke down on the way home and was refused a refund. The company didn't defend the case, so Mr. Kainth won a default judgment, but he's never been paid. Now, including fees, the debt's just over £5,000. Ken knows that collecting money from car dealerships can be tricky.
Different people owning different vehicles in the yard. Paperwork has to be got out and proof has to be shown. And there's usually an argument there somewhere.
What he doesn't know is that today's argument is going to involve not one, but 2 car dealerships.
Blue Diamond Garages, that could be the one. No, BD Trade Sales is different. Hello.
Hello.
BD Trade Sales Limited. I'm here regarding a High Court writ of control against BD Trade Sales from a Mr. Tarsum Kainth.
Why you got the camera here? Tell the camera to move away.
The man asks our camera to leave the forecourt before telling Ken that the case against the company is in dispute.
This judgment is to be set aside, and we've already appealed for that.
It's to be set aside, is it?
No, it's already set aside.
Is it? Have you got any paperwork I can see?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The man says the judgment against BD Trade Sales has already been overturned by the courts, but when he shows Ken the paperwork, it instead seems to show their application for a set-aside hasn't yet been successful. But then he comes up with a different reason not to pay. It's not his company.
This debt is against BD Trade Sales, and he is the MD of a company called Blue Diamond.
Blue Diamond is a different garage just down the road, but there's a reason why its boss is manning the BD Trade Sales office.
They're brothers, and one owes the other one a debt.
The man says that because his brother owes him money, he's given him all the cars on the BD Trade Sales forecourt, so now they belong to Blue Diamond Garages Limited. That would mean Ken can't remove them, but he's not just going to take his word for it.
Unless they can provide money transfer proof that each vehicle on this site was sold from the defendant company to the brothers company, then we can remove the vehicles.
Inside, the man does manage to produce invoices which appear to back up his story, but for Ken, it's still not enough.
Because there are no actual bank transfers and no solicitors undertaking for one company to satisfy the debt to another company. Also, that's not around, so it all looks a little bit iffy.
The man in the office has now got hold of his brother on the phone, so Ken talks to him to try to clarify the situation.
You are the MD of BD Trade Sales Limited, are you? My instructions are to remove a vehicle or 2 from here to cover this debt.
The boss doesn't want to pay. He too is claiming the cars on the forecourt belong to Blue Diamond, but Ken disagrees.
Because we don't have anything in concrete from a solicitor, for example, saying that this is a bona fide debt and it needs to be paid in a certain way, we can remove vehicles. Yeah, no, I understand that, but on the basis of you saying you owe him loads of money and him saying the same, that isn't good enough. We have to have it properly documented. Yeah. That's not good enough, mate. It's not good enough. Unfortunately, you've got a stance there, I've got a stance as well. Unfortunately, we're at an impasse. I'll just make the phone call, get a transporter on its way down here, and obviously you do what you've got to do, my friend, and I've got to do what I'm instructed to by the courts. Yeah, you just said that. Thank you very much. Cheers for speaking to me.
True to his word, Ken makes a call to book a tow truck to remove cars.
If I need you in E17, how long? That's all right. I might need it, I might not.
The truck's now on standby, and Ken warns the man that if he has to call it, then there'll be extra charges. It seems to have the desired effect, as the man now says he'll try to get some money together on his brother's behalf. But not all of it.
He does have the means to pay, I'm sure he does. He's saying I can pay part at the end of this month, but considering the value of the vehicles here, and we're only after around £5,000, I want payment in one go. If it was a football match, it's like a 1-1 draw at the moment. You know, going into half-time, it's like 1-1. But I know we're going to come out strong in the second half and get full payment, win the game.
Later in the programme,
Move that camera from it.
it all kicks off at BD Trade Sales.
Why are you coming in here and start bullying the man? Why are you doing that for?
And we find out whether Ken can get the money owed.
Did I not warn you earlier that this would happen?
No.
The police would turn up, the transport would turn up, it'd be like a scene out of Beatles About, and here we are.
If you've been ripped off and the person or company responsible refuses to pay you back, the first step is to make a claim in the county court. It's simple to do this online, for a small fee depending on the size of the claim. The court will review the evidence, and if it finds in your favour, the debtor will be ordered to pay up. If they don't, then for a further £60, the High Court will grant a writ, authorising the sheriffs to act on your behalf. If they're successful, you get all your money back. In the Midlands, enforcement agents Tommy Coyle and Craig Wild are on their way to Solihull. They're looking to try to recover a debt resulting from a business deal gone sour.
The judgment's against Mr. Alan Beale. It's a home address for just over £15,000, so it's a lot of money.
The money is owed to Karen Vaughan, an independent estate agent who also dabbles in property development. Her involvement with Mr. Beale began when she was looking for a new project to invest her savings.
I've done a few projects. I've bought land, I've done some refurbishments on properties, and what I was really hoping to do is to actually do a build. That was really the next stage, the natural progression for me.
A suitable site in Wolverhampton had come up, perfect to build 4 houses. Karen could afford to buy the land, but needed help to see the project through, so teamed up with a local builder, Alan Beale.
I was providing the finance for the project, and Alan was dealing with all the building aspects. I'd seen some properties that had already been built with Alan. He's a likeable person. He seemed very knowledgeable on what he was doing. So, yeah, I thought that we were starting a good working relationship, and it was the start of things to come, really.
Before they could buy the plot, the pair got surveys done and plans drawn up. But then the project started to drag, and Karen began to realise there was a problem.
Alan was quite a busy person, and it would appear that he wasn't getting back to architects, solicitors, the vendor of the site, etc., within the timescales that they required, and eventually the vendor decided that he couldn't wait any longer.
The seller pulled out and sold the land to someone else. That meant all their work so far was down the drain.
Alan started to forward to me the invoices for the work that he'd instructed, for example, the architect, the site investigation works, etc. And I think it was at that point that the realisation hit that we were somewhere in the region of 20,000 in debt, and those bills needed paying.
So Karen paid them, all £20,000 of it. She assumed her business partner would chip in, but she was in for a shock.
Alan's attitude was that we had set up a limited company, and the idea of a limited company is to protect you personally from any debt if the company fails. He felt that there was no legal need to have to pay that debt, and therefore if I wanted to pay them, that was my choice.
Karen had been counting on the income from the completion of the project to honour other financial commitments, and was now plunged into crisis.
Personally, I was devastated that I was over £20,000 further in debt than I was to start with. The snowball effect financially was catastrophic.
She missed loan payments, and her business was nearly repossessed. So when she finally managed to persuade Mr. Beale to pay back half of the money, it was a huge relief.
He drew up a loan agreement and agreed to pay an amount each month to clear that debt. He made the first payment, and so I thought everything was great. We were moving forward at last. But unfortunately, when the second payment was due, there was no money forthcoming. Despite phone calls, messages, texting, and emails, Alan never came forward with any further payments.
As he had broken a signed agreement, Karen was able to pursue him through the courts. she won a county court judgment against Mr. Beale. And when he still didn't pay, took it to the High Court.
I've given him every opportunity to make this payment, but he's ignored everything. And I've put it in the hands of the sheriffs. And I hope that this will sort of evoke some sort of response and make him see that this debt is not going away.
Now Tommy and Craig are on their way to see Mr. Beale, and Craig is feeling confident.
He is a director of 4 limited companies, building companies, log home company. He's obviously clearly a man of means, so hopefully we'll go and see Mr. Beale and try and get Miss Vaughan's money for her.
At the house, there's no sign of a builder's van on the drive, but is Mr. Beale home?
Builder's boots. Hello, my love. Sorry to disturb you. I'm trying to get in contact with Mr. Alan Beale.
He's not here.
Are you his wife, are you?
No, I'm not his wife.
My name's Mr. Wilder from the High Court.
Right, okay.
If you can get him on the phone for me, I'm here to execute a court order.
No, I can't do it.
Yes, no problem at all. I just want the water, please.
No, not you, Tommy.
No, I'm locked out. Craig's inside at least. Get some dialogue going.
Inside, the woman tells Craig that she is Mr. Beale's partner. As he seems to live there, the sheriffs could begin to list items to remove from the house to cover the debt. But it would be much better if Mr. Beale could pay in some other way. So the woman manages to reach him by phone, and Craig fills Tommy in via the window.
He's just phoned in. He's saying he hasn't got the money. Right. So we'll wait until he turns up anyway, because he's only about 10 or 15 minutes away. But there's another guy called Kevin turning up as well.
Mr. Beale's apparently on his way back to the house, so it looks like the sheriffs are going to get to speak to him face to face. After a short wait, a truck pulls up.
Here we go.
Mr. Beale has arrived alone. He tells Tommy he can't afford to pay back his debt to Karen Vaughan, and he hasn't brought any money. He doesn't want to be filmed and goes into the house, where Craig explains he's got a writ from the High Court that empowers him to remove goods to cover the debt. And after some fraught discussions, there are some promising signs.
Craig's just come out now, and he just requested to get the card machine.
It looks like Craig has managed to negotiate at least some kind of payment. Sure enough, before long, the sheriffs are on their way. So nearly 18 months after signing the loan agreement with Mr. Beale, has Karen finally got her money?
The defendant turned up. He couldn't pay, but his partner decided to extend the hand of gratuity to him to get it paid off. So that's what she's done, £15,000. There you go. Another good day for the sheriffs, and another good day, hopefully, for Miss Vaughan.
I have to say, I am actually surprised. Whilst I was hoping for a good outcome, I did not expect this. So thank you, sheriffs. You've done an amazing job. I can't thank you enough.
Sheriff Ken Warby is at a car dealer's in Walthamstow, where he's chasing a debt of £5,000. BD Trade Sales Limited sold a car to Tarsum Kainth, and when it broke down, didn't give him a refund. Ken is dealing with the director's brother, who says he's trying to raise the money, but after a lot of waiting around, Ken has run out of patience.
I've just been kept waiting and fed a load of rubbish at the moment, saying give me 5 minutes, give me 5 minutes, I need to make a few phone calls. Nothing's happened. I'm going to phone the office now, organise a transport to come down, remove 1 or 2 of these vehicles.
As Ken gets ready to make the call, the director's brother makes a last-ditch attempt to put on the brakes.
These assets are my assets. They are Blue Diamond Garage's assets.
Sorry, mate.
I know where you're coming from, but these are my assets. These cars, they can't be lifted.
But Ken's heard enough of this argument already.
Hello, Wayne. It's Ken Walby. Look, I need a transporter down in Walthamstow. If you could get down here as soon as possible. About 40 minutes. Nice one, mate. Appreciate it. Cheers. Bye.
All the stalling has cost the debtor dearly. The fees sheriffs charge are set by the government. And now that the transporter is on its way, the final bill has shot up.
£5,075 to a whopping £6,700 and counting.
But no sooner than the call is made, the boss's brother says a friend is on his way with the cash.
It is the larger amount now, unfortunately. I've called the transport, mate. It's on its way. Just left the yard.
Well, it's only been a couple of minutes, Mr.
Mate, it's not. It's been like an hour and a half since that first 5 minutes. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I did warn you. I had a coffee. We chatted. Still nothing happened. The 5 minutes became an hour and a half. Enough's enough.
Yeah, but he said that he can get you the £5,000 and...
Yeah, that's not enough now. It needs to be the full amount.
Yeah, but you just called it a few minutes ago.
It makes no difference. As soon as I tell the office they're not paying and I need a transporter, these fees go on.
Nothing can be done?
No.
The man said a friend was coming, and sure enough, one soon turns up. Only it doesn't look like this guy's in the mood to hand over any cash.
Move your camera from it.
I'm on the street.
Move your camera from there.
Oi,
Move.
Oi, pal.
Well, you think you can come in here and start bullying people? I'll get my people here right now. Will you come here and try to bully the man? Huh?
I'm not trying to bully
you. come here to bully the man?
Mate, I'm not trying to bully anybody.
Pals here. Move that camera from here. Move that camera from here.
I'm on the public street. I'm on the public street.
Move away from my property.
Ken has seen enough.
Please. Someone being physically threatening. He's just suddenly come into the car yard. I would like someone here to prevent the breach of the peace. I think they knew I was on the phone to the police and they sort of like disappeared, so I'm in the car yard on my own at the moment.
But not for long, as the men soon return.
Move that camera away from me. Move that camera away from me. Yeah, that's it. Good boy. Yes, sir. Why are you coming in here and start bullying the man? What are you doing that for? I'll get my pals here and we see who's going to bully who. If that's the way you want to do it.
Is this gentleman just told you I was bullying him?
Well, that's the approach you've come along. Oh, we're going to do that. We're going to remove cars. We're going to... Come on, mate.
Can I just ask who you are?
Khan, Mr. Khan.
Mr. Khan?
Mr. Khan.
And what involvement...
Forget that involvement. Tell him to switch that camera off, otherwise he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Tell him to switch that camera off. If you want, I can go talk to him personally. Mate, switch that off, otherwise I'll take that off you. I'll take that off you.
Mate, you won't be doing that.
No, don't tell me that.
Just as the situation is spiralling out of control, the police arrive, and Mr. Khan makes himself scarce. Meanwhile, the director's father has also arrived, and he's brought cash.
I am here to help them, to help these boys, my sons. The original bill is 5,000 something, 5,072. We are willing to sell it because the drill is not here.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
The father is willing to pay his son's original bill, but not the extra fees which were added when the transporter was called. But as far as Ken's concerned, this is a situation entirely of their own making.
I did explain to this person loads of times that if I had to call the transporter, a lot of fees go on there. I was patient over 2 hours, but in the end, enough's enough. I've called the transporter, now a load of fees have gone on there. I can't reverse that. Did I not warn you earlier that this would happen? No. The police would turn up, the transport would turn up, it would be like a scene out of Beatles About, and here we are.
We're able to settle it?
The full amount.
The full amount for the gentleman?
No.
The father isn't budging.
I can pay you the bill he has got.
Okay. He is not willing to accept that. That is what he's saying.
This is a con, no? It's a big con. The drill is not here, nothing is here.
But it will be here soon, and you've got sufficient goods in the yard to cover the debt.
But the son still thinks these cars can't be taken. And now with the police in attendance, he's hoping he can convince them of his side of the story.
You've got a high court rate for BD trade sales.
Yes.
So these cars, they belong to me. They belong to Blue Diamond Garages. That's what I was trying to explain for you and you weren't listening.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so does this gentleman.
Yeah.
But what happens is he has been issued with a court writ for these premises.
For BD trade sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. But these cars are here on this premises. You've got a big sign up there. If you've got 6,600 and whatever it is, then I would suggest you pay it. Then you can go to court. If it is proved in your favour, you will get reimbursed. If you choose not to pay back today, these guys can take the cars.
With the policewoman delivering the final verdict, father and son realise the game is up.
What are we at?
6708, just shy of £7,000 is what we said earlier on we needed to avoid.
The father reluctantly agrees to pay and hands over the full total in cash. At the same time, the transporter arrives and is sent on its way. They think it's all over. It is now.
Well, I did tell you earlier on it was like 1-1 at half time, but 2-1 to the Sheriffs.
Much to the father's disapproval.
This is very unfair system here because the case is still in the court, but nevertheless, to finish this matter off, I didn't want any aggravation with no one. I paid the sheriffs, now we will claim it back.
The case never went back to court, and Tarsum Kainth has got back the money he was rightfully owed. Sheriff Chris Pearson is chasing a debt owed by a businessman specialising in green home improvements.
We're in Leeds today. We're off to see Mr. James Kahn. It's for a sum of £1,587 owed for, which I believe is insulation, which is either incorrectly fitted or it wasn't fitted at all.
Mr. Kahn runs a company called the Green Deal Warehouse. It sold the insulation to pensioner Michael Redman, who lives in the Cookridge area of Leeds, a place where to stay warm you need all the help you can get.
We're at one of the highest points in Leeds. We get a lot of fog, get a lot of wind. It's horrendous up here when winter comes. We can have snow up here when you can go a mile down the road and people are walking around in t-shirts. It is so cold in winter.
And it's not just the elements which the residents have to contend with. Much of the post-war housing here is poorly insulated and can't easily be improved.
Houses are solid wall. There is no cavity, so you can't put insulation inside.
Which is where a special type of insulation called thermal cladding comes in. It involves adding a whole new shell to the outside of the house.
It's like wrapping your house in a rather large blanket.
Hoping to keep his house warm and cut down his bills, Michael decided to buy thermal cladding from local company, the Green Deal Warehouse.
We had a choice of two firms that we could have gone with, and we just decided to go with the first telephone number, which happened to be Green Deal. And now we wish we hadn't.
The job meant also replacing his doors and windows, and the work got off to a good start, but the progress would prove to be short-lived.
We paid £1,000 deposit. It came out within a week to fit the new windows and doors. They said we're coming back to do the insulation, the scaffolding and everything within the next fortnight. And that was the last time we saw Green Deal Warehouse for 5 months.
And it wasn't for lack of trying. Michael called time and again to try and arrange for the main work to begin.
They kept telling us that the scaffolding was going to be coming next week. Never came. Ring up again, coming in another week's time. Never came. And it went on and on.
In the meantime, the windows and doors had been left half finished. So, far from keeping the heat in, the house was colder than ever.
You could actually look through the window frames, not the glass, out into the street, because there were rather large holes and a lot of expanding foam. It leaked if it rained, it was drafty, it was an ISO.
After months of phone calls and missed appointments, Michael finally had enough and made one last call to the boss of Green Deal Warehouse, James Kahn.
I said, I'm cancelling it. And straight away, Mr. Kahn says, you'll not get your deposit back. I said, I'm not going to argue with you. I'll see you in court, and put the phone down on him. I think Mr. Kahn thought I was joking.
But after spending £1,000 and 5 months exposed to the elements, this was no laughing matter. Michael got another company to complete the work and took the Green Deal Warehouse to the county court. Although Mr. Kahn did offer a defence, he missed the hearing, and judgment was found against him. He was ordered to pay Michael back his deposit plus costs. Not that it seemed to make any difference.
He just wouldn't pay. Never saw a penny. He just totally ignored it.
Which left Michael with few options other than to turn to the sheriffs, something which he had no qualms about doing.
It's the right thing to do, and I'm not that type of person what's going to sit back and let him get away with it.
Sheriff Chris Pearson is on his way to the Green Deal warehouse to try to get Michael his money back. And as a fellow northerner, he has every sympathy with Michael's insulation nightmare.
Well, where I live, it's on the coast. It's not too bad. Come to the hilly districts, you can get the snow up to 2 to 3 feet deep. It can get a bit cold as well, to say the least. So if we're looking to get your property, your home insulated, it's got to be done correctly, I would say.
As Chris arrives, the business is open and production seems to be in full swing. But is Mr. Khan here?
Hello, mate. Hello. Is the boss in, mate, please? Just up here, yeah, cheers. Is Mr. Khan in, please?
Not mate, no.
Can you get him on the phone for me, from the High Court?
How's it way, mate?
Can you get him on the phone for us, mate?
Right.
Upstairs in the office, Chris explains the purpose of his visit.
There's been a writ issued, love to seize company assets. It's not for a great deal of money, and I'm sure we'll resolve it straight away.
The staff offer to contact the boss, but they don't want our camera in the office.
Could you all just go downstairs 5 minutes?
Absolutely, I can wait down here, no
cheers
problem.
for that.
But once downstairs, our cameraman's asked to leave altogether.
We want you outside, mate. Not inside. Come here. So we don't be filming any of these.
Chris remains inside to negotiate and soon emerges to fill us in on what's going on.
The actual debtor himself is not there. Apparently he's away on holiday, but they are trying to get in touch with him at the minute. So hopefully, within a couple of minutes, we'll get in touch with him and get this paid.
Until they can get hold of him, there's no guarantee he'll agree to pay up. But if he doesn't, Chris is confident he's got plenty to fall back on.
Forklifts, windows, cars, there's all sorts in there. Hopefully they'll pay, but if they don't, there seems to be more than enough to cover the debt.
Back inside, the staff manage to make contact with Mr. Khan abroad and break the news that a High Court sheriff is on the doorstep. Mr. Khan says that the case is still in dispute, but Chris explains that he's got a High Court writ, and so the debt to Mr. Redman needs to be paid now. Soon enough, Chris is heading back to his car. So what's the news?
Mr. Khan was away on holiday, but managed to contact him by phone, and he's agreed to pay the full amount.
It's a textbook job for the sheriffs.
That was one of the better ones. Yeah, if they could all go like that, it would be fantastic. Unfortunately, they don't.
Michael Redman will now get his lost deposit back.
We've received a cheque for the total of £1,246.73. I think they've done a superb job for us.
The Green Deal warehouse told us the work on Mr. Redman's house was subject to a voucher scheme and was delayed due to a government backlog in processing the applications. Mr. Redman was offered a number of start dates which he refused because they weren't convenient. The company says it was unable to attend the court hearing due to work commitments, and the reason they didn't pay the debt is that they never received the letter from the court. Sheriffs are now officially known as High Court enforcement agents, and they'll collect the money you're owed.
My job is to collect in full or remove goods.
They've got more powers of entry than bailiffs.
We don't have to take any notice of your security protocol, I'm afraid.
And there's no limit on the size of the debts they can pursue.
£1.6 million.
Their fees are set by the government, which debtors have to pay on top of what they already owe.
Thank you very much. See you later.
If the sheriffs can't recover any of your money, there's a fee of £75 plus VAT. In the Midlands, enforcement agents Tommy Coyle and Craig Wild are heading into the countryside on a job which will pose some unique challenges.
We're off to see a company called Stoneridge Vehicle Sales. Balance on the account is just short of £3,500.
The claimant successfully took Stoneridge Vehicle Sales to court after buying a car which turned out to be faulty and was refused a refund. The company didn't defend the case, so judgment was issued in default, but there's still been no payment. The sheriffs are now headed to the company director's house, which is the only address they've been given.
Done our research. It's a large manor house, grade 2 listed, currently on the market for 1.3 million.
But it's not clear whether the business trades from the house or not, and just because it's an expensive property, that won't make it any easier for the sheriffs to get paid.
If it was the individual's name on the writ, then obviously he would own items within the house, so we'd be pushing the point trying to get inside the house. But with this, we're just after business assets, so it makes it a bit more difficult.
Oh, there we go. That's it there.
That's it.
2 expensive-looking cars are on the driveway, and a courtyard behind the house looks promising too.
There's the cars in there as well.
I think so.
On closer inspection, he's right.
Yeah, there's loads of cars in there.
The question is, are they owned by the company they're looking for? To find out, they'll have to run checks on the registration numbers. So they start taking them down.
R.A. R1?
RA02.
Some of the license plates are out of view. To get a closer look, they might have to scale the wall. But they don't want to alert the occupants of the house until they've got the information they need.
They're going to see me up at the window, aren't they?
So, up goes Tommy.
M44.
M44.
And Craig takes down all the registrations Tommy can see.
There's a couple more in the little garage there.
There are certainly a lot of cars for one house, so it's possible they could belong to the car sales business. But until they get them checked out, they won't know for sure. Now they need to try to make contact with the debtor.
This is the Vodafone voicemail service.
The intercom system seems to be diverting to a telephone's voicemail.
Just keep trying it, their answer.
This is the Vodafone voicemail service for...
So now the sheriffs need to get insistent. As they're legally entitled to jump perimeter walls, over they go.
Oh, drop down a bit, mate.
Come on, son. You can do it.
Things you do.
They then try the front doorbell, but there's no answer there either.
Hello? Hello? Nobody coming to the door. I mean, you could say they're in bed because it's a huge manor house. But obviously the bell we're ringing echoes through the house, so I'd say they know we're here. But no one wants to come to the door.
Would you come to the door? We'd certainly come to the window, wouldn't you?
With no one answering, the front gate's locked shut, and without yet knowing who owns the cars, the sheriffs are running out of options.
Very difficult what we can do here this morning. We gathered a lot of information, took a lot of reg plates down in the courtyard, which we'll DVI check and HPI check. They come back to our company name, we'll come back and have them. We'll give it a couple more knocks, and then unfortunately we'll have to leave a letter today.
Which is exactly what they do. Checks later showed that the cars weren't registered to Stonebridge Vehicle Sales. Shortly afterwards, the company was dissolved. That means that it no longer has any money or assets, and on this occasion, there's nothing more the sheriffs can do to get the claimant's money back. The boss of Stonebridge Vehicle Sales told us he made every effort to settle the matter before it went to court. He offered to inspect the car, but the claimant wouldn't return it without being refunded first. And he says he missed the court date because of an administrative error. In the southeast, enforcement agents Lawrence Grix and Kev McNally are in Kent, and their prospects of getting paid today are looking pretty good. The company they're going to is definitely still trading, and it specialises in classic car restoration.
We are in Ashford. We're going to Extreme Jaguar Restorations Limited. They owe £3,161. They soup up and restore old Jaguars.
Extreme Jaguar was taken to court by a supplier, and unlike many of the sheriff's jobs, this time the debtor won't be able to claim they never got the paperwork.
Mr. Gannon, who is the director of Extreme Jaguar Limited, he was actually in court to defend the hearing with his solicitor. He's not going to be able to say he's not aware of this.
Mr. Gannon didn't pay what he was ordered to by the court, and now the sheriffs are heading his way. One of them in particular can't wait, not because of the money, but because of his love of cars.
I'm very much looking forward to this one. I do like my Jags, always have done. Got one about a year ago. Mine is like a metallic British Racing green. I couldn't tell you, well, I could tell you the exact colour, but that'd be a bit geeky. I've always loved the shape of the Jag. There's just something about them.
Never seen him as excited about a job. Probably as good as it gets, to be honest with him.
As for getting paid, the Jaguars themselves are likely to be out of the equation.
What we're going to find here, I would imagine, is most of the actual cars belong to customers. Parts and tools is the main thing we'll be looking for.
But will they need to take anything, or will the garage pay up? Time to find out.
Hi there.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Fine. Right, we're enforcement agents. We've got a High Court writ against Extreme Jaguar Restorations Limited. We're ordered here today to take control of goods to the value of £3,161.14. £61.14. The only way to prevent further action is to pay in full.
What's the camera for?
At this point, our cameraman's asked to leave. Inside, Lawrence tells Mr. Gannon that the outstanding debt needs to be paid today. Shortly afterwards, our cameras let back in, only to find Lawrence and the owner talking shop.
So I've just built all... Oh, it's lovely. Right. That is just gorgeous. I've got an X300. It's the last of the 3.2s because I wanted a straight 6. I didn't want a V8.
It's lucky it's the sheriff's last job of the day, because they could be here for a while.
So I've always loved Jags, always wanted one, and I thought for that money, just for something to poodle around in at weekends, I'm having it, you know. It's never going to be anything like this.
So it's just showing Lawrence around the workshop at the moment. He knew Lawrence was pretty keen to have a look around here, so he's giving him a guided tour, and Lawrence is geeking him out of information over there, showing off that he knows a little bit about it, so let him have his moment. He's loving it over there.
Back to the writ in question. Lawrence wants to know if any of these cars belong to the garage.
I'm guessing these are customers' cars, aren't they? Yeah.
They are, which means they can't be removed by the sheriffs or used as leverage to get payment. But it doesn't look like that will be necessary anyway.
You can pay online with a card. We've got a secure online payment system. Yeah. Or you can go online and do a bank transfer.
Mr. Gannon is willing to pay £1,100 today and says he'll clear the rest of the debt tomorrow.
There you go. Okay.
Mr. Gannon tells us his side of the story. He says the dispute arose from a respray job on an E-Type Jaguar.
The paint shop involved sent me a sample of the paint, which is this, and based on that being the correct colour, I sent the car to the paint shop to be resprayed.
Mr. Gannon claims that when the car came back, the colour wasn't right, so he refused to pay the full cost of the job, and instead made an offer for part payment.
He wouldn't accept it. We went to court. Sadly, the magistrate involved couldn't see the concept of how much it was going to cost to respray a complete E-Type. She did, however, find in my favour and knock some off the bill, but nowhere near enough. She only knocked £1,000 off, and anybody who's in this industry will tell you you're looking at minimum £6,000 to respray an E-Type. The reason I didn't pay it was purely on principle.
But the court made its decision, and Mr. Gannon has tried to ignore it. As a result, he's now facing a higher bill with extra charges and fees. As he seems willing to pay, Lawrence and Kev are happy to leave with £1,100 for the time being. But they do list a couple of vehicles belonging to the company, just in case.
What they've got outside, they've got a recovery vehicle, sort of 7.5-tonne van, and they've also got a transit van as well. So between the two vans there's more than enough to cover the little that's left owing. But I've got no doubt these guys are going to be paying in the morning.
Right, this is your controlled goods agreement.
Okay.
The controlled goods agreement means that if Mr. Gannon doesn't make the promised payment, the sheriffs will be back to take the vehicles.
All right, cheers. All right, thanks very much. Bye-bye.
It's job done for the sheriffs. And the moral of the story is that a court's decision is final.
The judge said, this is how much you've got to pay. So that's what we have to do. We have to enforce the writ. So we've taken what we could get today, which is £1,100. We've got a controlled goods agreement signed for the full balance by close of business tomorrow.
The guys have come today, they're just doing a job. So yes, I'm quite happy to pay it. And, it's unfortunate, but I'll just have to chalk it up to experience.
And for Lawrence, it's been a case of mixing business with pleasure.
If I had to pick one from in here, that would be it, I think.
Oh, well, it would have to be, yeah.
I'd love to own some of the cars that are in there, but hey-ho, I've got my cheap old run around and that will do me, and I picked up a bit of advice while I was in there as well, so happy days.
Extreme Jaguar Restorations Limited paid the remaining balance, and the paint shop got the money they were owed.